like to welcome you to this month's Connection Point. It's focused on the member and the member's practice. And I'd like to welcome Bridget from our Florida chapter and Reid from our professional development chapter to talk about what attorneys should be looking forward to and looking back in reflection of the last year. Bridget, what do you think about in your office about 2021?
Wow, 2021 was quite a year. I think it came strong on the heels of 2020. And for us, we did a lot of cleaning house. And I think it was a good year because we kind of boiled it down to ground zero so that coming up in 2022, it's going to be amazing. There were a lot of internal issues, structural, cultural issues that needed to be addressed. And I think those happened in 2021. So we're in a really good place and ready to hit it off in 2022.
Can you give us an example of something you changed in your office?
Well, for one, I gave myself a promotion from managing attorney to CEO. And, you know, when I talk about practice management, I always say, know yourself. And where my creative genius is really on the business and running the business. So I just had to let go of the joy that practicing law gave me to really focus on something different. So it's helped me to grow not only personally, but professionally as well. So that was a major change that needed to happen structurally within our organization that grew from just me to now 13 employees.
Well, that's great. That's excellent. Reid, as we talk about 2021 and AILA Professionalism Center and things like, should people still be using Facebook or LinkedIn? What advice would you have for an attorney to do as they sort of reflect on how they did in 2021 with regards to marketing and managing their practice?
Sure. I think it's always good this time of year to take a look back and spend some time going over the successes and the things that you still have to get done or wanted to get done in 2021 to give you a context for 2022. And part of that is your marketing efforts. You know, how did those go? How well were you doing at social media marketing? And one of the places that I really would tell every member to spend a little more time is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is becoming much more important for professionals. And just to give you an example, everybody right now, Google yourself, right? Put your name in. I will tell you that your LinkedIn profile will be in the top 5 search results of almost everybody listening to this. And that's where consumers go to confirm who you are, what you're doing. And they may not click on your website, but they're going to probably click on your LinkedIn profile. So spend time upgrading your profile, spend time making sure that that's a good and relevant place for consumers to get information about who you are as a lawyer.
And a lot of this information can be found on AILA.org in the professionalism section of our site. Reid, is there any one document you think would be useful for people as they do this reflection?
So we have a number of tools on marketing and preparing your firm. We do a weekly practice success tip that's often focused on marketing. And so I would just go to AILA.org/PPC and look for our marketing resources.
Bridget, what are you looking forward to in 2022? What are you preparing for?
So as Reid talked about, it's important to step back. So I think this is the perfect time and opportunity for us as members to get away a little bit and do a retreat. So I think this is the perfect time to do a retreat. We have 60 days left until the end of the year. And so me and my team, we're going to be going away just for a day where we're going to focus on 2022. But the one thing I'm really excited about that I know is a part of our vision for our firm is to test out try our hand at niche marketing. So we do all different types of immigration cases and so forth, business, removal, family, and so forth, but never really a niche. And so I've kind of rebranded myself as the Reggae Visa lawyer. And I'm really just specializing in P3 visas, a very tiny little piece of the extraordinary ability market. And so I'm really excited to kind of launch that brand and to see what a niche market can do to a practice, not just building our reputation, but how can that impact our growth financially for next year.
That sounds very exciting. Reid, Bridget with 13 employees, she's in the larger side of the AILA membership, right? She has more members of her firm working for her, more employees than most members of AILA. So people with smaller shops, what do you think they should be thinking about for 2022?
So the good news is we're seeing a good number of our members grow or need additional staff to help them in the business that they have. I would think for 2022, even though that's good news, one of the other factors we're seeing is it's harder to find qualified staff. And when you do, that cost is going up. And so I think members have to anticipate that 2022 is going to have some increased compensation costs, some increased costs for staff and lawyers, and look at their practice, look at their financial structure with that in mind, and make decisions based on the fact that it's going to cost a little bit more for them to run their practice. If not at the beginning of 2022, certainly by the end, it's going to be more than what we've seen over the last 5 or 10 years.
Reid, in running a practice, what is the largest mistake you see from solo practitioners in sort of setting up their financial plan for the next year?
I think it's just trying to do what everybody else is doing. And I think we have to tailor our service delivery system and our fees in line with what the clients that we want, the clients that are in our practice, what is it that they want out of the engagement? What is it that they expect, and what does that cost to deliver it? And I think we have to look at that individually. We can't just say, well, I'll do what somebody else down the road does. There's a little bit of that to factor in to see what the competition is doing, but I think we have to individualize that. And I'm guessing, Bridgette, that's what you're doing as you roll out this new niche practice.
It is, and it's actually one of the things that I would encourage smaller practitioners or newer practitioners to do is actually have a financial plan. A lot of times, well, I'm finding myself having to reverse engineer now, but if you're at that point where you're smaller and you're leaner and you're able to have something in mind, I think that's going to be so critical. So I would encourage people to write down a plan. You don't need a financial planner to give you a plan. You should have some type of a budget, some type of a structure. How much money do you want to bring in 2022? Write it down. How much are you going to be able to, how much will you be spending on your client management, your cost of running your business, the cost of doing your cases, and then just, okay, so my profitability, I want to walk away with 30% of the profits or whatever. But I just think the biggest mistake that people make is just not having a plan at all. And, there's a scripture I like. It says, have a vision, make it plain, write it down. Otherwise, where are you going if you have nothing that's guiding your principles?
I think most importantly in that sort of understanding in scripture is also that sometimes you might have to increase your fees, because if the volume and the legalese that has sort of changed to sort of achieve the result the client needs has changed in cost and effort, then maybe it's also time to reevaluate your fees that you're actually charging your client based on what you got last year. Maybe, you didn't have the same receivables. A lot of immigration lawyers constantly undercharge themselves. And I think this is the next area that we're sort of going to talk about in this call is, recently AILA, even the president, myself, has been asking people, let's do pro bono. Let's go do a lot of pro bono. Let's give to this organization or give to that organization. And a lot of those things sort of take away from the solo practitioner's time to sort of run their practice and sort of balance the needs they need to make themselves be strong. And I always tell people that yes, pro bono is important, but pro bono is part of the cycle of your practice in which you need to make sure your practice is healthy first. So Bridget, how do you handle the pro bono requests that come to your office?
Well, I had to fix that because I was doing pro bono all the time. And it became a problem. So like you said, you have to make sure that your firm is financially healthy so that you can take it on. So I don't really have a strategy. It's just I do all my consultations. So if I feel that this person truly has a need and they don't have the money, I will consider taking on pro bono. So we'll probably do 1 or 2 per quarter, but nothing excessive. Like if you're coming to our firm, we expect to be paid. But then you still have a small group of people that truly need the services that don't. The other thing I don't think members should get pigeonholed in is that if you're not doing legal pro bono, you're not giving back to your community. So for example, out of our office, we run a nonprofit called Helping Hands, and we've been feeding people for the last eight years, 1 Saturday per month. where we provide hot meals to the community. So you can do things to contribute to your community in a variety of ways. And so maybe you're not at the point where you can take on a pro bono case, but there's certainly other ways that you can contribute to your community.
Thank you, Bridget, for your leadership. That's amazing to hear that your office is doing that. Reid, what do you sort of tell practitioners about balancing pro bono requests and demands?
I try to make it an objective decision so that you're not, forced with a difficult one later on. And that is to determine how many pro bono cases you individually can handle. And that may go for, other people in your firm as well. And you decide, is that 1, 2, 5 cases? And then you keep a list of that, keep it handy on your desk or wherever on your computer, maybe a note on your monitor. And if you have, let's say, three spaces available, if their names behind all those, you've got 3 already, then you can't take another one, right? You can't until one comes off that list, and then go ahead and replace it, right? But that problem is that, as Bridgette was saying, sometimes it just gets out of control because we want to do the right thing, right? Yeah. But we have to be good for ourselves too. And to your point about undervaluing, I wrote an article, I'm very proud of it. It's on the AILA website about, are you undervaluing your services? And it helps us go through a thought process to understand what our value is. And I ended up by saying, no one can tell you what to charge, but you ought to know why you charge. Right. And if you have the why down, okay, then you'll better understand what is best for you and your clients.
Bridget, I think in this space, I want to let people to introduce more about you. When you started your firm, how many people did you have working for you?
When I started, it was myself, a receptionist, and a paralegal.
And how long ago was that?
Actually, almost 10 years to the date. So we opened 11/11/2011.
And what part of AILA did you find most useful in your growth of your firm?
Oh my gosh, the content within AILA. So I had always been a member of AILA, even as a law student. And I just value education. I didn't know anything in terms of opening my own practice, learning the law. I did not work for anyone. I started my practice right out of law school. So I knew that I needed AILA with the network, with the content, to be kind of my consultant. So I was at every single AILA national conference. I didn't care how much it cost, right? I know a lot of people think about the cost, but it's a cost versus value analysis. Like, I built my practice through AILA, through the resources. That's how I met you. That's how I met Reid. That's how I met so many people that are not only great colleagues, but wonderful friends. So AILA really has revolutionized my practice. And that's why I don't mind taking time to share what the benefit of taking advantage of the membership is. It's a great resource, and I think it's underutilized. And if you underutilize it, then, as a member, you were like, well, it's too expensive. Well, you're not using it.
Well, that's a very strong parting remark. Reid, what would you have to be your parting remark to this conversation?
I'm very pleased to be a part of AILA, and I love coming across members like Bridgette, and then, turn around and say, hey, can you do a seminar for AILA and things like that. So it's wonderful. And we've got great resources for great members available on the website. They range from roundtables to articles, all sorts of resources to help. And we want to be able to do more of that in 2022. And thank you, Alan, for having this time on Connection Point for us to be able to share that with members.
Thank you both so very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.